Hezekiah Butterworth has written, I walked through the woodland meadows where sweet the thrushes sing, and I found on a bed of mosses a bird with a broken wing. I healed its wound, and each morning it sang its old sweet strand, but the bird with the broken pinion never soared as high again. Sounds pretty negative, doesn't it? It may just be realistic. You see, Butterworth goes on with two more stanzas to his poem. The next one is, he found a boy with a broken life and helped him be restored to whatever he could be. But he never soared as high as he had or would have. The third stanza is where there's some promise. He mentions that the boy and the bird were both limited because of what they had done to themselves or what circumstances they had gotten into, but they were both of benefit to others. Understand, when we start talking about someone not reaching their potential anymore, being limited because of what they've gotten themselves into, we're talking about consequences, not guilt. When God forgives, he restores, but he doesn't take away the consequences. Let me illustrate. I knew a man in the community where I grew up who was known as a ruffian. He came from some godly parents, but he was known for getting drunk every Saturday night and getting into fights. They say he was a good fighter. He could clean out the bar. He was also known for fishing with dynamite. Throw the dynamite in the water. When it explodes, it stuns the fish. They float to the top. You pick them up. It's quite illegal. And then there came the time when he mixed the two, the dynamite and the drinking, and he blew off his arm. Later on in life, that man became a Christian. He was forgiven of all of his drunkenness and carousing and his illegal fishing. Forgiven totally. But he didn't get his arm back. Don't you know of some man who started down a path of flirtation, went into a full affair, lost his family? Maybe later on he became a Christian, but he didn't get that family back. Oh, in some instances, yes, but in many others, no. One more story. A man in West Texas, rather famous at the time, was a big oil man. He embezzled a lot of money, hurt a lot of people, and he went to prison. He was a member of the Church of Christ, and the papers were full of his story. I have heard that he repented while he was in prison. He still had the prison sentence, and even if he got out, his name was ruined in that community. These consequences from our mess-ups come from two or three sources. First of all, from people who remember too well. They won't give people a second chance. Others are just those natural ones that have come because we hurt ourselves, like the man who blew off his arm. And then there are the ones that we impose on ourselves because we don't forgive ourselves. And think about that. If I say, God has forgiven me, but I can't forgive myself, am I saying that I'm nobler or purer than God? Two basic lessons here I would suggest for your consideration. Number one, before you start into any sinful activity, stop and think. There will be consequences. Maybe you can recover from some of those consequences and face no ill effects. Many others will haunt you the rest of your life. Maybe that'll be a discouragement from going on down that path. But second, let's us as Christians be a people of second chances. Let's forgive and help someone who's gotten himself into a mess. Let's help him soar again. Paul wrote to the Galatians, Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness, considering yourself, lest you should also be tempted. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. By helping someone who has hurt himself and gotten himself into a mess with consequences, we can fulfill the law of Christ.